Kosovo is not part of Serbia. It is the very heart of Serbia. These were the words of Slobodan Milosevic, the former Yugoslav president who would go on to stand trial for war crimes. He died in his prison cell in 2006, but he did get one thing right. Kosovo is no longer part of Serbia. To explain how this came to be, we must first attempt to summarise the region's ethnic, cultural and military history without offending anyone. Wish us luck.
In 1998, Yugoslavia was still coming to terms with the loss of 4 of its republics. At this point, it consisted of only Serbia and Montenegro. The Serbian province of Kosovo was mostly populated by ethnic Albanians. Demands for independence boiled over into an armed insurgency led by the Kosovo Liberation Army, or the KLA.
Until then, the states that had broken away from Yugoslavia had been autonomous republics, but Kosovo was different. The Serbs saw it as their heartland. Yugoslavia responded with force, and the news began to cover the atrocities that followed. While crimes were committed by both sides, the vast majority involved Serbian police and the Yugoslavian army against the Albanian people.
In the ensuing war, 1.5 million Kosovo Albanians were displaced, while over 13,000 people were killed or went missing. With the ethnic cleansing of the Bosnian War still on people's minds, NATO was keen to act. It launched a bombing campaign of Serbia that lasted for 78 days until Yugoslavian troops pulled out of Kosovo, paving the way for its declaration of independence in 2008.
With only half of UN members recognising Kosovo's statehood today, it still has a long way to go to function as an independent country. We're starting our journey in the Preševo Valley, an area of Serbia inhabited mostly by Albanians. What is life like for minorities on either side of the border? And can Serbs and Albanians find anything to agree on? So we turned up at Vranje, spoken to the guy, told him we want to go to Preševo, and he said
There's no train today, specifically, and then he went on to explain there hasn't been a train here for 2 years.
we're with Nemanja. He works at the train station, and he's offered us a lift to Buckley, which is the next town over. You remember 99?
Yes, I was a little kid. I had 6 years. Vranje was bombed with I don't know in English, but it's uranium. The cancer grew like for 60%.
Really?
And we still suffer and we didn't recover from it yet. But why they bombed Vranje? They bombed it because we have a repetitor there.
What is that, sorry?
It's like telecommunication tower.
This was over a long period of time, like 70 days, right?
Yeah. And I told you we didn't still recover from it. But we are doing our best. It's not so good, not so terrible, but we will survive like always.
And you were
Serbs were 500 years under the Ottoman Empire and we recovered. We will recover from a bomb, I suppose.
You were 6 years old, right?
Yeah.
Wow. That must be a crazy thing to happen to a 6-year-old.
That was a terrible experience. We were hiding in the woods, hiding under the tables, electricity on and off constantly.
And did you understand what was happening? How did your parents explain it to you?
They were like explaining to me, but what can a child from 6 years understand what bombing is? What other people are trying to do to your country that's unexplainable to a child.
Nemanja has left us in Bucanovac. There are signs that we've switched into Albanian-speaking places because look at this. We don't understand any of it. Okay, we had some lunch and met two very, very nice gentlemen, Andy and Mohammed, who have offered us a lift to their village. I've got a question then. Can you recognise whether people are Serbian or Albanian?
Yes.
How?
Religion.
But just when you see them in the streets?
The hairstyle is different.
Really? Does everyone get on with each other, the Serbs and Albanians here?
We have problems from the past, you know.
Yeah,
the war
from the
was
past.
between us.
Yeah.
I have lost 2 brothers in the war.
Really?
One was 3 years old, one was 6 months, you know.
So you were born in 2000?
2000.
Just after. Some people proposed this idea of, the land swap, like the Preševo Valley becomes part of Kosovo, and then Mitrovica, or north of Mitrovica, becomes part of Serbia. Do you think it's a good idea, this land swap?
Why not? You know, everything will be more fair. You know, because if we, for example, have an accident in city or something, to have an accident with the Serbian people, you directly are wrong. Because policemen are from Serbia, you know, director are from Serbia. It's not no rights, you know. You have no.
Ritvan Chasimi and Besim Fajku. And they were commanders, yeah?
He was a commander, he was a soldier.
How did they die?
In the war, they were killed from the army of Syria. Just moved from the city.
In the wartime.
Yeah.
He was planned to bury all the people who live in this village by the Serbian forces.
Really?
Yes, we have my family was
Writing there, but it's in Albanian.
And what does it say, do you know?
They explain how they brought all the people out here and how they wanted to kill.
The Serb forces brought
all from every single house.
everybody. They took everybody out of their houses.
Here.
How many people?
What, 10,000, 15,000.
15,000 people?
All from every. They know that they will be killed. They thought that.
This is your parents?
My parents, my sisters were around 50
Every
years
single
old.
people who
Every
lived here.
single. The plan was to kill everybody who lived in this village. But no one died.
In the last moment
Maybe
they
from
changed
Europe
the
or
plan.
something.
Do you have any Serbian friends?
Yeah.
Yeah?
No, the business, I see them every day, they have cars. But just for business.
Really?
Not that I like to be friends or something, but
And how do they treat you?
like I treat them in a good way, you know. They are not wrong. Someone that killed people, they were children, or maybe they weren't at all, so life needs to go on, but do not forget. Something interesting that we don't be in marriage with Serbians.
Doesn't happen.
No, to marry a Serbian girl.
Just can't.
Maybe someone did, but at all, no.
Do you think that will change in the future? Do you think
If
the younger
situations-
generations will...
I think yes. But the fact that we live together in this small city, every day we see each other, we eat together, we drink together, this is going to be nothing for some years.
Very excited. Been looking forward to this moment for a long, long time. Finally, we're about to go to Kosovo. We did it!
Yeah, we're through.
We are in Kosovo. We're just about to pick up the car, but firstly to tell you about one of the most interesting stories from the war.
As part of the ceasefire agreement to end the Kosovo war, there was a joint peacekeeping force between Russian forces and NATO forces, which was made up of 17 different countries, including the United States and Great Britain. This airport is one of the most strategic positions in Kosovo. The Russians were very keen to get their hands on this, so was NATO. In June of 1999, a column of Russian forces came over from Bosnia and they rushed to get to this airport, and they had a standoff here over who should control the airstrip. The British forces were outnumbered and they knew that they wouldn't win a skirmish or a firefight with the Russian forces, and that would cause so many diplomatic and military problems that could lead quite possibly onto a global conflict. The British commander in charge was under a lot of pressure from the American commander of NATO to use force against the Russian forces. This was a man called General Mike Jackson, and he said famously on the phone to the American commander, "I will not start the Third World War for you." So Russia was allowed to control this airport and war was averted.
Prizren in the morning. Wow, what a beautiful, beautiful place. It's a statue of Berisha. He's holding an AK-47. This is the town hall of Prizren, and on this wall, Gracias Peru, Danke Deutschland, Merci Luxembourg. These are the countries that recognise Kosovo, but there are some missing, so we offered to put the final 36 on the wall for them.
This church was destroyed in 2004 when there was inter-ethnic violence between the Albanians and the Serbs.
So the roof was destroyed. It's still standing, and it stands on a hill next to the castle overlooking the city of Prizren.
Our next stop is Stripsa, a Serbian community that is cut off from the other Serb areas of Kosovo. We headed east from Prizren into the mountains in order to, if nothing else, have an excuse for another montage.
As Ben Moore would say, look at the state of that. That's enough, Kosovo. It's too much beauty.
We've arrived in the town of Stripsa. Our first impressions, we noticed a lot of the signs are in Serbian. They have some election posters out.
Serbia.
Serbia.
A lot of the signs here, they've graffitied out the Albanian word.
Jesi probao nikad?
Da.
You can have a go. Whoa! There we go. Very nice.
No. Good.
Jovica.
Jovica. Jovica. I'm Sebastian. Nice to meet you.
Drago mi je.
Oli.
This is Italianski medini. Do you like Vucic?
Vucic dobro.
Vucic.
Vučić dobro.
Koji je 22.
Pomalo.
Don't really understand too much of what she was telling me, but I asked her about the war here in 1999, the bombing. They were in a cellar for 19 nights in a row.
Really? That guy and his aunt invited us in. Really, really lovely. But I've got a couple of screenshots from the things we were talking about. How is it living as a Serb in Kosovo? And he put, it can only be better to be at peace. What is it like living as a Serb here? You know, how is it? And he said, it has always been Serbian. He kind of didn't really answer the question. Do you get on with the Albanians here? And he put, they are savages, the Albanians. They destroyed our churches. It's a shame they're just so friendly and lovely, but then you can see that they're not going to be able to live in harmony with the Albanians down the road. UK Championship. Ronnie's playing.
And we're drinking pie. You say pie, yeah.
Pints.
Pints, yeah.
And you were saying this is Serbia for you.
there is differences between us and Albanian, the war that happened and all that stuff, but we Serbs watch Kosovo as part of our country, and we will never declare the independence of Kosovo. That's our government politics. Yeah, the Serbs consider Kosovo as the Holy Land. The Serbian soul is in Kosovo. We use the educational system of Serbia, and we do have health insurance and all that from Serbia.
If Serbia recognised Kosovo as independent, hypothetically, one day, would you accept that you're in a different country to Serbia?
In my mind, no. But what's on paper is on paper, you know. You can write anything you want on paper.
When you speak with your Albanian friends, what language do you speak to them in?
Pretty much mostly Serbian.
Yeah, because
they do speak Serbian.
Albanian knows more Serbian than we do Albanian, you know.
Something we've read is that Albanians don't speak Serbian and Serbians don't speak Albanian and they don't get on.
That's all media propaganda. I don't believe it, and you can say all you want, but it's different when you live live here, when you have to communicate on the daily basis with Albanians, and all that is not all media propaganda and what you read in newspapers and all that in your country specifically. It's all because they want to make like boundaries between us, and it's like we are against them and they are against us.
We arrived in Mitrovica last night, one of the biggest cities in Kosovo. A river runs through the middle of the city. To the north live Serbs, to the south live Albanians. Have a guess which side we're in. Just to point out the differences between, you know, the north of the river and south. This bill's just come and it's in Serbian dinar, so we're paying in Serbian currency. Whereas if we go perhaps 200 meters that way, we'll be paying in euros. And right here is the bridge across the river Iber, dividing the north and the Serbs from the south and the Albanians. And they've got Carabinieri, Italian flags there, as a sort of peacekeeping force. But you see, people do cross this bridge. Not a lot. For this absolute centre of the city, you'd expect it to be heaving. It's not. And then police here this side and another roadblock. We are in a sovereign state, the sovereign state of Kosovo. That is not the most controversial opinion, and yet we've just come across from there where they're flying hundreds, probably thousands of Serbian flags, a foreign country, and we've come over this side and they're flying an Albanian flag, another foreign country. Where are the Kosovo flags?
It's the same country, north of the river and south of the river, but it's two different worlds.
Absolutely. Different currencies, different language,
Different flags,
different ethnicities.
different religion.
Absolutely.
In fact, do they have
bizarre.
anything in common?
So we're on the Albanian side here. So the Serbian side is just there. So if you look this way. Then behind us there's this graffiti.
Oh, thank you.
What are your
Can I
names?
hug you?
Eh?
Can I hug you?
Yeah, sure. I don't think I've ever been asked for a hug before by a stranger. That's really nice.
Yeah, that's very nice.
I don't speak any Albanian. Apart from Filaments.
And to dua. To dua. Love you. I still love you. To dua.
To dua.
Yes. Oh my god.
Do you go to the north? Do you ever go to the north?
Yes. Every day maybe.
Every day?
Yes.
Why? What for? Shopping?
Yes.
Yeah? Shopping. In the past there were problems, and now
nothing.
Now it's
Yes.
peaceful. It's nice.
Nice.
Do you speak Serbian?
No.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So when you...
No.
What is this?
He don't like that, so.
No, why not?
And he's scared. Scared.
Scared of the Serbians?
Yes.
The north. How do you speak to people if you don't speak Serbian?
Albanian.
You speak in Albanian, and
Yeah.
do they understand?
Yeah.
Here we've got the Carabinieri guarding the bridge, and then a UN car right here.
stark reminders of the unrest. In 1998, the Yugoslavian army raided these houses, shot at them, and killed 59 people, including children. The whole of the family of Adem Jashari, who was a proponent for the liberation of Kosovo. Fatima Jashari, 9 years old. Iqbala Jashari, 11 years old. Blerina Jashari, 7 years old. We're in Prekas Museum, and this was Adem Jashari's AK-47, the very one that he used. I want to point out a couple of things. It says here, the 3 Jashari brothers didn't obey to Serbian barbarians for surrender. There's another bit here that says, during the second siege, when the Jashari family were victorious, the Serbian forces were removed from the scene shamefully. I've never seen a museum use such emotive language to describe what happened. We have arrived in Pea, which is in the west of the country. We've kind of done all 4 sides of the diamond now, and we're meeting a guy who's a mechanic here in Pea. When someone says, what nationality are you? What's your nation?
Nation is, the nation is Albanian.
Really? Not Kosovo?
No. Kosovo is not a nation, you know. Our country is Kosovo, and our nationality is Albania.
What do you think connects all people, all Kosovars? Do you think there's one thing that connects all Kosovars?
I don't think it is possible to do
No?
things. No.
We drink tea,
Yeah.
or beer, or we like football. We have these cultural things that tie people together.
Even though
Is
they're
there
different ethnically.
Yeah. Is there anything in Kosovo that connects the people, the Serbs, the Albanians? Do you have anything in common? Do you consider the Serbs to be your countrymen?
Yeah?
We live with Serbs and before the war without problem.
Would you like Kosovo to become part of Albania in the future?
I like more to become part of Europe.
Okay.
After we turned the camera off, the guys shared their distaste at our questions. We were trying to get to the bottom of some stuff we didn't understand, but in the process, we'd clearly hit a nerve.
There are 10 Serbian municipalities in Kosovo. This isn't even in one of those, so it's a real outpost. There was one last place we wanted to visit. Goraždevac is a Serbian village located in an Albanian municipality in the country of Kosovo, which the people in the village believe is part of Serbia. If there's one place that shows how weird the situation is, it's Goraždevac.
Nice little village. Loads of kids about, just come out of school. There's cockerels doing their thing. Lovely.
Victims of Albanian terrorists.
Yeah.
These ones. And here we've got victims of NATO bombing.
The 2 sides see it very, very differently. And then you see Ivan and Panto were the people that died in 2003. Panto was 13 and Ivan was 19. Look at this. And you broadcast to Kosovo or to?
We broadcast in a municipality region, and we have a Serbian listener. We have one very hard tragedy. 2 kids, boys, to be killed, and other 4 people, kids, is be
Injured.
shooting.
Injured, yeah,
Injured
wounded.
in the hand, legs. This crime is not any time solved. Before the war in Kosovo, in Pea region is have maybe 40,000 Serbian people, but now we have maybe in all region 3,000 or 4,000 people. Only Goraždevac survive and not be burned. all around village, Serbian villages, be burned.
Do you feel that your rights are observed by the government here in Kosovo?
All minority rights is be respected. All institution is non-respect. Language rights, not respected property rights. That is big problem for us. Kosovo nationality is not exist, but Albanian elites try to make Kosovo nationality.
Is it possible for Kosovan to exist as a nationality separate from ethnicity?
It's not possible. Kosovo is to made after the declaration of independence. Most of Albanian people have a dream to unite Kosovo to Albania and made big Albania, and all Serbian people have a dream to Kosovo stay in Serbia. Yeah. That is very different dreams. I drink rakia, maybe. Dajte rakiju.
Let's do it. Just to try it. Cheers. Cheers. Shivali.
You're welcome.
Kosovo really surprised us. We came here to make a video about its troubles, but in the process we were confronted by unimaginable beauty. If there's one thing to take away from this video, it's that you should really go and see it for yourself.
But we were also surprised by the division that remains between its two main ethnic groups. There doesn't seem to be much enthusiasm for the idea of this new state. When walking around, Kosovo flags are drowned out by endless Serbian and Albanian flags. Perhaps the next generation will see it differently. After all, the first people born in the new country are now coming of age.
Even though our stay was brief, we had an unforgettable experience. Everyone we met on our journey was keen to share their beautiful part of the world with us. Maybe that's something they have in common.